live again to make sure. But yeah, I can't tell what's going on here. Can I get a one in the chat if everybody can hear me? Okay, a one in the chat. Can everybody hear us? Okay.
Maybe, maybe not. They haven't left yet.
They haven't left yet. I still see everybody in there, so I'm just going to get to moving here. And luckily, this thing is recording, so we get to play this all back. Facebook, or excuse me, YouTube done something a little weird there to me and made me go live twice, which I don't necessarily get. But real quick, we want to take a little time to acknowledge a friend of ours coming on board to help Going Bracket Racing out there, Mr. Matt Ebaugh over at Graphics by TMK. We definitely appreciate Graphics by TMK for coming on over and giving us a hand with our logo. I mean to tell you, our experience, Casey and myself, we sent him a message. I believe it was Sunday around 5, and I believe Sunday around 6, we had a really awesome logo created with, I mean to tell you, just the thought process that went into it. We are going bracket racing. Well, even the tree on the side of our name is giving somebody a head start. And it's just that type of attention to detail that we were looking for as Casey and myself wanted to get a good logo out to you. Well, those if you guys are interested, and we like to bring sources that could be utilized for racing, car numbers, decals, logos, whatever you want to do for your racing operation. Graphics by TMK specializes in race cars and sportsman drag racing, bracket racing as a whole, to be able to bring about great creations, things like that. Not only that, they do shirts, car numbers I mentioned, logos, names. So definitely, if you'd like to give them a follow there at Graphics by TMK, there's their Facebook logo right there on this logo. Also, inside of the stream here in the description, we have a link to their webpage below, and so that you can give them a shout out. But without holding much of your time, guys, and we definitely thank you guys for stopping in there. Definitely want to get into this stream. So, Casey, what do we got going on today?
Man, we're talking about the pre-entry. Is it good or is it bad? We had a couple other things on deck. We got quite a bit of topics that I was just telling you earlier today. We got enough topics right now without coming up with anything else to get us through July, every Friday. But, man, this pre-entry stuff just kind of blew up this week, and we couldn't kind of just let it slide by. This is something we've talked about several times. And, before we get started, this isn't to point fingers at any of the promoters or any of the racers. There's a ton of stuff going on drag race results, bracket talk, if anybody's involved with that anymore. I look at that pretty often just to kind of see what everybody's talking about. Usually it's kind of a lot of complaining, to be honest with you. People kind of like to be recreationally pissed off, it seems like at times. But we're just kind of giving you guys some context on all this, and it's something that's always talked about in the off season. And it's a tough subject because I can kind of see it from both sides. I can see it from the side of the promoter, and I can see it from the side of the racer, as far as it being a pro for the promoter and a con for the racers. But obviously it's a pro for the promoter because, if nothing else, they have a general idea of what's going to happen before the race actually happens. Like, worst case scenario, do last minute, you need to be like, hey man, I really need to hit the ground running, stay up 4 nights in a row trying to find sponsors or hold raffles or do something to promote my event and get more people out here. Like, what's the weather going to be like? If it looks like it's going to rain all week, then people might not show up. So if it's pre-entry, it kind of forces their hand, and they have to. But obviously, if you're a racer and you have to pre-enter it, ties your money up for potentially months at a time. But I think it's a little one-sided on a lot of that. I think the promoters catch a lot of flack for something that is something that's essential to their business. So, I mean, what do you think, man? We've talked about this a lot. What do you think about pre-entry?
Yeah, my thought process is pretty close to the same as yours, Casey. I'm going to be honest with you. There's the good and the bad, and what you come to find is that you have those who are like myself, wife, kids. I don't really have the ability to throw, say, $2,000 or $3,000 at an entry into a big race like this. And so having the ability to participate in pre-entry and that entry being a little bit cheaper for me is a plus. It'll allow me a chance to, number one, enter that race. Number two, with it being pre-entry, I do have money put into it. Well, at the same time, even if I didn't give that money away during pre-entry, I was going to pay it at the gate anyway if I was prepared to go to this race. So pre-entry on the racer side of it for my personal self, I like it. Sometimes it saves a buyback. Sometimes it saves on the fuel cost to get there. I mean, some of these promoters saving $600, $700 to go and do what we love to do. Whereas if that wasn't the case, some of us wouldn't be able to do it at all. So I don't mind the pre-entry side of it. I will see it on both sides and say I've never been bitten by the pre-entry side of it. So I don't have a negative experience, should I say. And I don't know who does have a negative experience out there, to be honest. It's not my position to be there and say, yeah, you've never had a negative experience, when in actuality they just never told us what that experience was. So I don't want to generalize and say that there isn't flaws. But what I like about Going Bracket Racing YouTube channel is we provide a place where healthy conversation can be had. And generally, it could lead to a solution. Who knows? And so I don't know, man. Those are my thoughts on the subject thus far. I know that the promoter does have a lot of protection in that light, but at the same time, there's generally some type of you can pay at the gate as well. So at least you have options. That's where I sit.
Right.
We got it.
And that's the thing, man. That's what I would say. You know, if there is like a way we could go down numerically on all this stuff. I mean, issue number one is obviously tying up the racer's money for months. But if the same race, like you just said, if the same race wasn't pre-entry, and let's just say all else is constant, and like let's just say the entries are great, right? And let's just say that no matter if you pre-enter or if you pay at the gate, it's $1,000. Well, guess what? I have to have that $1,000 stashed back anyway. You know,
right,
so
right.
it's as if I pre-entered. And I mean, I would say the only downside to pre-entry, if you think of it in those terms, where effectively the money is non-existent anyway, the number one thing is you're giving your money to somebody you don't know, I guess. But you know, if you're really worried about having your money tied up for that long, then why'd you put it up there? That's kind of a bad financial decision on your part, really. You know, like I understand, you know, I'm not a rich guy. I understand things happen. Like I remember I was telling you last summer, I got lucky because it was the end of the year because my AC went out. Man, I live in North Carolina. It's hot here, you know?
Right.
So, and what's funny is, side note, that same thing happened to me in Colorado. So I have bad luck with ACs in my house. But the point is, that's like $5,000 if you have to replace that. I know because I did it, but unfortunately. But you know, no matter what, I would say first of all, don't put up money you don't have. But I would say I can definitely see the racers giving money to a guy you've never met to hold for 6 months. Some of these sometimes it's $2,000, $3,000. I mean, that's a lot of money to
Yeah,
just give somebody you don't know.
and I get that 100%. But currently, right now in the world of bracket racing, I think we have 5 major promoters, if I'm right. It might be just a few more. I'm just saying I know I can count 5 right off the top of my
It's
head.
probably close.
And to this point, all that I've heard of, now again, leaving room for error, all of the promoters that we have within our sport are pretty stand up. Not seeing any comments or negative connotation towards, hey, I went to this race and this person didn't do what he said he was going to do, and it rained and they wanted to keep all the money and run, and they didn't do this and they didn't do that. I'm not really seeing a lot of that with the promoters that we have in bracket racing today. And honestly, with the level of accessibility to a platform via Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, it really doesn't matter how you look at it. There is enough of a avenue for if someone had an experience that was negative, that it would be out there for everybody else to know.
Right.
And I'm going to go to the chat real quick and pull in Project Leftovers Racing. And he says, I'm on the fence, but honestly, if all promoters and racers could get on the same page with a common goal of everyone succeeding, you could get rid of pre-entry.
100%.
I think potentially you could get rid of pre-entry. And where I think that would be beneficial is, one, we wouldn't have anyone that has a negative connotation towards the thought of pre-entry. But from where I'm sitting, and to kind of piggyback off of your comment, getting rid of pre-entry isn't going to entice the lesser racer to come to a race, because pre-entry equals a less charge, okay? Unless you're entering a capped race. Sometimes those capped races, if you didn't pre-enter it, you're not going. It's that easy. By the time they hit go on their webpage, at a promoter's webpage, if you don't refresh your browser fast enough, you're probably not getting in that race in the first place, right?
The planes sell out in 2 minutes.
It's sold out. You wanted in, you had the money to get in, but you couldn't. So in a race that isn't necessarily, or should I say that's capped, I can see it possible to get rid of pre-entry to some extent, and just having hey, we're going to hold the entry 2 months before advance. It's a shorter time, but there's not going to be much of a discount for that person. What do you think, Casey, about that question?
Well, I was gonna say, it's one of the things I just thought of while we were talking about this. A lot of pre-entry is promotion. Like, pre-entering a race is a lot of promotion, because they're going to be like, oh man, we sold out the event. Oh man, we only have X amount of spots left. Hurry up. Well, guess what? The whole time everybody's talking about that, that's all over Facebook. People saying, hey man, you got to get in now because there's only 20 spots left. You got to get in. You got to get in. It's, and the whole time that flyer's posted up and you're showing all these sponsor names on that flyer, and it's always up in everybody's face. And that pre-entry aspect of things, I think, shows a lot of value to the promoter, not in the aspect of where everybody thinks, where they have all their money up front and now they know they're good, but in the aspect of the sponsors. And without sponsors, they can't put on these big races. They can't do these big giveaways and all that stuff. And people forget about that. They always want to bash the promoters all the time. And guess what? That might not be the promoter's idea, believe it or not. That might be the sponsor's idea.
Very true. Very true. And they, at the same time, they have someone to answer to, which is what you're alluding to. You have to make sure that your sponsors have protection too. It's not just to protect the promoter. And I'm going to side on the promoter with this comment. If I'm putting up $1 million of guaranteed money, we have two races like that per year, okay?
And they're going back next year.
They're coming back next year. They're probably going to be back the year after that. As long as we as consumers stay on board with them. That's the name of it, right? So personally, if you're going to put up 1 million, a cool million to win, and you tell me that, okay, we have pre-entries, so we can technically start collecting this entry fee or this cash payout, I will gladly hand you whatever it is right now for protection of yourself, and also more like saying thank you. I'm willing to take a risk with this, even though it's not much of a risk for what we have now. The unknown promoters, like say, let's say GBR Promotions, Going Bracket Racing Promotions, comes out with the next million. That sounds kind of good, Casey. If anybody steals our name,
Man, if we have a million,
we want a cut. Dang it, that sounds good. Going Bracket Racing Promotions. Anyway, if we were to come out with a race, Casey and George are relative unknowns. Um, that means you would be. We don't have a repetition. We don't have people that say, "Hey, I can vouch for Casey and George" quite yet. In a sense of, send me $2,500, and there's going to be 400 people that do that. We don't have that type of a reputation, and so that's that's where I'm at to side with our promoters of today's bracket racing. I don't care which one it is right now. They seem to be, especially the Fling guys. Those guys have been doing it so long; they are reputable.
right?
And if Spring Fling comes through and says, "Hey, man, we're going to start taking a pre-entry, and we're also going to open up the cap," I don't know if they ever want to do that, but to do that, there's got to be some form of protection for them. What do you think?
I would say that, well, number one, I just did some quick math here, and let's just say I'm fairly certain this is pretty close, but let's just say that the entry to your $1 million guaranteed race is $3,000. Like, yeah, that's a lot of money for us, but do you realize that that's actually only 0.3%? So 30 that's so it's not 1%, it's 0.3% of the entire purse. So think about it in that aspect. Think about, yeah, that's a lot of money for you. Now think about it the other way around. They got to still cover the other 0.997% of that purse to get all that purse out. But let's talk about it in this aspect. So on the same subject, do you think that promoters should have some sort of refund policy, or what do you think about that? Like, I don't think they can. I think it's incredibly unreasonable for them to expect them to say, tell me the day before the event. Like I saw on the DRR forum, a guy was saying, well, NHRA allows XYZ, and I can still pull out the Monday before the event or whatever. And it's like, that's fine, but NHRA isn't one person. NHRA is a big organization that has big sponsors and has all of this stuff. And I mean, you could easily sink a promoter by even having probably 50 guys pull out of something this crazy. I mean, it's you're talking house money,
Yeah,
like money for your house.
yeah, yeah. That's rent money. That's mortgage,
Yeah.
car payment. And to piggyback off of one thing you said something about NHRA. Last time I checked, the zeros on the end of the checks that are presented at an NHRA event, I think they're missing a couple of zeros in comparison
And
to what
recently
our
decreased.
promoters are actually giving out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yes, I would say to you, do I expect there to be a refund policy? Well, no, and this is why. Unfortunately, if I were to go to my local track and the weather gets bad and it gets rained out and I've got my $100 up, whatever it is, to enter the race, do you think that when I walk up to the tower and say I want my money back because it's wet, we didn't get through first round, now I got to go home, I wasted fuel getting here. I'm only an hour away, right? But still,
Yeah.
that's money to me. I need it.
They're going to say, come back.
So, do you think they're going to give me the money back, or do you think they're going to say, here's a rain check, we'll see you in 2 weeks, or something like that?
Yep.
So, do I think that a refund policy is doable? Sure, via trial and error. The only way you're going to get a functioning refund policy is to try it, fail at it, try it again. that failure could equal a big time kick in the pants for a promoter. If you fail enough at trying to give out $100,000 an event, um, I hate to say you might end up bankrupt doing that. So what I do say and what I do like is that's common to say here's a rain check, or I will allow for your entry to carry into the next race, because most of our promoters, they've got
Or
4 or 5 races on the schedule for the year anyway. So
yeah.
if you entered that race, at least you have that security blanket of, well, I can go to the next race if something happens.
And I don't understand why people complain about that, because I can tell you right now, I just remodeled an entire house before I came out here. And there were several times where I'd buy a million different things during the weekend and I would lose receipts. And guess what? Whenever I bring those back, what do they tell me? They tell me I get it in store credit.
Correct.
And I have no problem with that, you know? So why does everybody have a problem with that with promoters? What is the difference? Is the difference the fact that they're a person and not an organization? Because they are an organization. They pay taxes too. They're a business, you know, like what's the difference? I don't understand.
Yeah, no, I don't quite understand it myself, nor do I want to act like I should understand it. And then at the same time, act like I should have the ability to tell a promoter you shouldn't be doing that. Well, I want my
Yeah.
voice to be heard to where, and mainly because who knows who might run back to Going Bracket Racing. Let's talk about pre-entry or no pre-entry live stream. And let's actually read through these comments and see what people have said about it, what thought processes are out there. Well, with those processes and people coming through to give their opinion in a constructive way, we have the ability to deliver to promoters what they need to hear to make their program better if it isn't already great. You know, so I don't have the ability to bash any promoters here as a
Right.
racer, as a consumer.
And here's the I got 2 points here. And point number one is a lot of the big promoters, almost all of them, they're they're all racers too. And all of us racers, we're all family. We've talked about that on Going Bracket Racing multiple times. We're all family, all of us. Everybody will help each other out almost all the time and not expect anything in return. But number two is, and this is the biggest one out of all of them, everybody always acts like the promoter's out to get us. The promoter isn't out to get the racer, because without us, they don't have a product. So why does everybody think the promoter is trying to get the racer all the time? They can't do that. There is no reason for them to do that. They can't continue their business.
I've not got the answer, and I've even gone enough. I've heard it enough times this year, last year, year before that, whatever you want to call it, that this could be easily a quote unquote, with the air quotes there, a Ponzi scheme. And it's like, yes, but no. I mean, it's like anybody who has ill intentions will do ill things, regardless. If it is your nature to be kind of snakish, with my air quotes again, I like those air quotes, but if you're a snake in the grass, then somebody's just going to get bit as it is, okay? But we're not there right now. You know, we have reputable promoters. All of them are
Right.
reputable.
Right.
We love
And
what
they've
they
all
do.
backed it up.
They've all backed up everything they've ever said. To my knowledge, I've never seen anything negative once again. And again, I stress it. If somebody had an issue with a promoter, it's going to get aired on one of these social media platforms the instant it happens, because
Right.
it's going to reach people. Promoters know that too. So do you think that they want to have some type of a clash with their consumer? The answer is no. As a matter of fact, they're going to do as much damage control to avoid that impact that they can. We got another comment in the chat here from S Alpha. I think a pre-entry race should have a refund policy within a certain period of time. I agree 100%. 100%. And or at least the choice to say, all right, look, you can have your money back in full, or I can roll that money into the next race and you're already locked in instead of having to fight the masses to get in.
Right.
Something of that nature is customer friendly. At the same
Right.
time, I don't know anybody who's not doing that ahead of time.
Right.
Ahead of time, not a week before the race. Oh man, I can't be there, and this, that, and the other. Even in that instance, I feel like the promoters we work with right now, they're probably going to work with you. You know what I mean?
Right.
They're going to work with you. But the day of, where the gates open, getting messages, hey, I can't make it. Like you said before in the stream, if you hit rewind, Casey said, if you have enough people pull out of a race before it actually happens, even 50 people pulling out, that
Yeah.
can be detrimental to your program, your
I
business.
I think it's totally reasonable to say, and I think even though it's not written down, I think it's kind of an unwritten agreement. I think most promoters, if you say you can't get there, and you're telling them like a month or even 3 weeks in advance, you got to give them enough time to resell that entry. Or if anything else, just here's the other thing, man, is a lot of those entries are fully transferable. They don't say. In fact, I think all of them are. I don't think they say you're on the hook for it. I mean, if I, Casey, buy an entry and I'm like, oh crap, I can't go there, I'll say, hey George, man, let me sell this entry to you, or find somebody that wants it. First of all, almost always somebody's going to buy it unless there's like 50 outstanding. Then maybe you'll have a problem, but that usually doesn't happen. But
Sure.
if anything, you're going to find somebody to sell those. And sometimes, believe it or not, I think a lot of these races, like I'm pretty sure I saw people for the GABR million, since it was capped. I think a lot of people bought some early, and I saw a couple people, I'm pretty sure, selling their entries for a couple extra
Some
bucks,
profit.
you know,
Yeah.
because they
Yeah.
can't get in.
Especially with
It's
those
just like
capped
scalping.
races. Those capped races. And like you just said there, it's definitely going to be something that would be easy to get rid of for the cap races. What to do for
Right.
those who have gate entries would be something totally different. The gate entry is a great facet. Let's just say I have the money to go to a race and I just got it 2 days before the race happened. Well, I like the thought process of being able to show up to this race with my stuff and be able to compete. Just because I
Mhm.
didn't pre-enter the race doesn't necessarily mean I shouldn't have a chance to go for it. But at the same time,
Right.
just because somebody else did pre-enter the race, personal feeling, I'm more power to you. You had the ability to save a buck. Good job.
Yep.
And who am I to try to take that away from a racer, especially if that racer was me and that's all I could do to get in. So I don't know. I like where we're headed. I like where um, the promoters are headed. There, it is a moving pendulum. I guarantee it. They're always trying to adjust themselves to meet the needs of their consumer, and they can hear you loud and clear. So yeah, man, that's how I feel about it. Certainly, if you have more comments, feel free and drop them in the chat as me and Casey continue to roll through this pre-entry or no to pre-entry stream here. Definitely. So, okay. So, what else we got going on in here?
Well, I would just, I guess, kind of thinking off of what you just said. I mean, if you look at the scope of big money bracket racing, right? If you just look at it, in my mind, it can be thought of as an investment. I mean, there's several guys that race for a living in there. It's no secret. Literally most of those guys race for a living. That is their job. And if it's not their job, it's a big part of their income for the year. Um, but if you think of that in it as an investment, because it's a substantial investment to go big money bracket race. And not only just the entry fees, but the quality of cars you have to bring there, and whether you stay in hotels or motorhomes or whatever. I mean, that's yet another expense that's on top of everything else. The fuel to get there. I mean, if I was going to go to Michigan, I mean, I got to drive like 17, 18 hours to get to Michigan. You know what I mean? That's not cheap, but the point is it's expensive. And if you think of it as an investment, investments are risk reward based. And if you choose to take a risk, you're either going to you have two ways to go. You either go up or down. And if you think of it as a risk reward based uh, type of a deal, if you pre-enter a race, your reward could be like, uh, discount on the entry fee, getting into a race that is sold out. getting into a capped race, which means like if you had a race that would have 300 cars versus an open race that might have 600, 800, whatever cars, you're at least one round less to the split. You're at least one round less to even get in round money. You're one round less to win. I mean, you're one round less for everything. So you paid extra money to get that, to get that opportunity. How much is that round worth to you? Because in some of these big time money races, that one round is worth more than your entry fee, even.
I hear you.
So,
we got. I think I got challenged in the chat there. So I'm gonna go ahead and plug in the old porta tree and Casey. I know yours is outside in your car,
man,
which is where I wish
mine's
mine
hooked up
was,
to my
because
car
then I
right
could let
now.
go with my normal button. Simulate it as much as possible. But Jerry, I hear you, man, and I'll go ahead and pull my practice tree out and see if I can't give it a whack. Now I've heard that going live and hitting the practice tree is a little bit of a lot of nerves come with that. I've never done this before, so
And
this
not
ought to be
only
pretty
does he
interesting.
think that, he was just talking to me about that earlier today. So we're going to see if George is going to eat his words right now.
All right, so I have a delay in my box. So what are we doing? 5 hits? I can do 5 hits real quick, and I have a delay in my box where if I hit this thing anywhere good, I should be a few red, maybe 2. And if I don't, then, well, it's going to be 30 something because you guys got me with the jitters and all. And I'm a little nervous. Hey, this Golf Star might be right. This is a little different. It feels a little different in my chest. Hold on. Let's see here. So I'm going to take a quick hit. And while I'm doing this, if you can think of anything else to talk about on the subject, and we'll definitely get back to it after I fulfill this chat interaction here. Let's see.
Put it up.
I think I was
Don't be
002.
lying. Show them. Show them.
Well,
Don't be lying.
I don't know if I can get close enough. And
What's it say?
I was 002. First hit.
All right.
All right,
We'll just
I'm
have
not
to
going to
believe
touch
him.
anything. The 002. Project Leftovers Racing. It's tough for sure. I didn't do so hot on fundraiser the other night. hey, I may or may not have saw that Project Leftovers. 002 first hit. Let me see what I can average in 5. What do you think, Casey? You gonna give me a number?
Man, let's see. I'm thinking, and everybody's going to think we're kidding, but we're not kidding. Me and George have been doing this for years and years and years, as far as me telling George what to hit. And he swears, man, he swears he can feel it. So I'm going to go with a 7.
You want a 7?
Oh, there's JR, James Bond on it.
Go see if I can get a 7. Hold on. Let me back up a little bit. 7, huh? All right. That's faster. It's faster than 7. Trip zip.
That'll do.
That's faster than 7, brother. My bad. You want 17? Yeah, I can hit a 17. I think Project Leftovers. That's a little slower, but hold on. And a little faster. Maybe 12. Oh, 22. All right, I missed that one. All right, I'll try to go for the 17. Anyway.
I told you. JR, I think, is the only one that may have actually seen this in action. They probably don't believe us, but George isn't lying.
Hey, I'm gonna try to call this one after I let go, Casey. Hold on, let's see. 4. Ooh, I was red. 3 red. All right, I quit. All right. I quit, guys. Let's get off that. Anyway.
JR getting us sidetracked here.
Getting us sidetracked. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, man. So where were we at here? Let's talk about some upsides for the racer, man. Let's talk about that. I think that's what we were getting into. So JR says that's awesome. Yeah, we all wish we could hit the tree as good as George. Unfortunately, most of us can't. But let's talk about the upsides, man. There's not just upsides to pre-entry for the for the promoter, I mean, there's upsides to pre-entry for the racers as well. I mean, like for example, one of these promoters, I don't know if it was this year or last year, they'll actually let you go on a payment plan. Like you don't got to throw all this money down all at once. And for guys like I know me and you for sure, probably some people in this chat, I can come out of pocket every couple months, $500, you know, or if absolutely nothing else, let's say you can't do that. Let's say you go racing this weekend. Let's say you go run somewhere where they're paying like $3,000 to win, and you're the good dude, so you get down, so you win $1,500, right? Well, now all of a sudden you have the money, and you only had to put that $500 down to begin with to get your spot. You know, you don't have to actually put all 15, 18, $2,500 down all at once. They let you pay it in like 3-month increments, like layaway almost.
Right.
Right. You
know,
I
mean, it's definitely beneficial again to the drivers that don't have stackers, motorhome even. You know, I myself have stumbled upon the ability to rent motorhomes when I go to a racetrack. Generally, it should even out. If I've done my math correctly, it's probably going to come close to the amount that you would spend at a hotel anyway, unless you're sleeping in the back of the truck, which don't put it past me. I'll do it in a heartbeat. I'll set up a tent outside my trailer and sleep right there. I really don't care.
I got 2 cots for me and my wife, and she's not very proud of me for that, but she'll stay.
Right. So to save $1, I do what I got to do, but definitely the ability to push the payments out is something that's excellent. That's an excellent thought process to me because it's racer friendly. And that's something that whoever thought about doing that, I don't know which promoter actually did that first. Don't really care because it's an excellent idea. All promoters, if they could do it, I'm sure they would, because that pushes the payment out for the people who may not be able to afford it so easily. So
guess what? I don't own my tow vehicle outright. Right. And I bet you most people don't.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. I don't know mine. I'm trying to buy one right now. So I'm pretty sure I'm going to go to the bank for that loan. You know what I mean? I don't own my house right now. You know what I mean? But
can't pull it out of my pocket.
I said that to say on the promoter side of things, that is, in my opinion, something that will require a little bit of protection to the promoter. Yes, I'm paying you month to month, but those promoters are probably thinking, I'm not no collection agency. I shouldn't have to call you to tell you when to put your $500 in. Well, I feel like a promoter should be able to say, if you miss a payment, you're out.
Just like anyone else.
And you're also out of whatever you've put in. I think that's only fair, okay? Because I have excellent credit. If I say I'm going to do something, I'm doing it. But not everybody has excellent credit, okay? So I'm just speaking for myself. If I say I'm going to give you $2,000 in 8 months, trust me, you're going to receive $2,000 in 8 months, whatever way that I can get it. You know, 504 installments and so be it. So I do like that, and I hope that it's adopted a little bit more. But at the same time, you promoters find a way to protect yourself in that, because we are still dealing with. You're still dealing with people at the same time. I can't vouch for everybody. I can only vouch for myself and probably Casey and a few of these other guys in here in this stream. So there you have it.
Well, and don't forget about the fact that the bank's going to pull your credit when you buy that truck. None of these promoters are going to do that. They're just going off your word.
Correct. And even even with that being said, where it is a whole lot more work for the promoter, if they had the ability to pull your credit, by all means, I would allow the credit to be pulled. And at the same time, if I don't pay it, you can mark my credit. You know why? Because my credit is my word.
It all goes back to the fact of what we said earlier, where all of us bracket racing people, we're all family. They trust you because they're trusting you that you said, I'm going to take one of these spots and I'm going to trust that you're going to pay me when you're supposed to pay me, so I can, get plane tickets for people, buy VHT, rent tracks, on and on and on and on. I mean, the expenses just add up and add up and add up. Get equipment there. There's endless amounts of money being spent on their behalf before this race even happens. So they got to have the money up front they put the money up, and then we all pay entry fees later, and they're just hoping it comes back. But they put the money out already, you know.
It's a fact.
I mean, I bet you that trophy for GABR was probably $4,000 or $5,000 just
Nice
the
looking
trophy.
too. Oh man. Oh man. So I don't know. I don't
The
know.
the wheel alone, I'm pretty sure, is $1,500 just for the base that they made the wheel out of. I'm pretty sure.
Gee whiz.
But anyways, um, yeah, man, and then that kind of goes into the fact of like, you know, if you're pre-entering a race, like I said, some of these races that you pre-enter, they're capped. How much is that one less round worth to you? Maybe two less rounds. You know, I mean, in these $1 million races, even $50,000 races, I mean, that one more round, I have been to, and I'm sure anybody who races that's in this chat has been to the round before the money so many times. And these big races, the round before the money, once you hit the money, you paid your entry fee back. So
I think you paid a little bit more than that at some of these races, man.
You might have.
When you get into the split round, wee. And half the time, let's be honest, the round before the money is first round at some of these races. Second round.
Yep.
Like, come on, you're paying back that far.
One.
That's another thing. It's like some of these promoters will pay back second round. I'm giving $100 a round from here on out. Hey man, look, if that was a pre-entry race, that promoter effectively said to me, I'm going to give back to the racers by starting my payouts in the second round.
Right.
So that doesn't have to happen every time. That's a great promoter, in my opinion.
Loose Rocker. I'm looking at their flyer right now, and Loose Rocker right now. The St. Patrick's Day race, they just moved to Galat. They literally just came up with this earlier this week. Friday is $300,000 to win. If you win third round of that race, you get $3,000 already. You know what I mean? Like that's what I'm saying. What is that? I don't know, to clarify, I don't know that this is necessarily, oh yeah, it is right here. It says limited field, max 340 entries, guaranteed 9-round race, no marathons. So right there, what's that? 1, 2, I mean, I'm pretty sure some of these races go to 11, 12 rounds. What are those 3 potentially less rounds worth to you? You know, and to be fair, I'm on the side of the lower scale guy. I'm not going to go enter this race unless if I win a $5,000 or something before this, which would be pretty tough because there's like 2 of them before this happens.
Right.
Well, 4, I guess, because 2 weekends. But that's the only way I can afford to go to these. And to be fair, if I win one, I will be there. But right. Well, if I can get in limited field. But the point is that I can't just drag that out of my own pocket. But I mean, it's a great deal. If I had the money, I would totally go. And maybe one day I will have the money. Maybe this year will be the year of Casey, and Casey will win a bunch of money and be able to go to some of this stuff next year.
Sure.
But you know, there's no shame in being a weekend racer, man. People see all this stuff and they think that's where it's at, man. But bracket racing exists for the little guy. We're all the little guy. Don't worry about it. You know,
True.
We've always been the little guy. If we ever get to be the big guy, that's cool. And nothing against those guys. I would love to do that. And if I could, I would. But I can't right now. You know, so I definitely think that the promoters get a lot of flack, and I don't envy being a promoter at all. I would definitely rather be the racer that can't afford to get into the event rather than the promoter who. Imagine how we feel if guys like us are like, I'm going to throw down $3,000. That's a lot of money, right? I mean, that's a lot of money. But imagine if you're the promoter putting up this $300,000. That's only one of them, by the way. They got 3 50-granders also. So
that's a lot of money to be paying out, especially with a lot of guarantees. I don't know if they have a pre-entry. Do they have any pre-entry, or is it all? What is it?
It's all pre-entry. That particular one it looks like it's capped at 340 entries. So I have to think that it will be pre-entry, right? I
That's
mean,
the only way you can do it. You can't say let's cap it at 340 and then all
and then
these
turn
trucks and
341 home.
right turn away a lot of people. So again, there's another pre-entry race. So
Yeah,
it seems to me a lot of the struggle may be around the fact that there's a gate entry and a pre-entry, and
right.
well, when you have an uncapped race, you should be allowed to do so. The race is not
Yep.
capped, and this word marathon that's being used, yeah, it's pretty essential to run $1 million as a marathon if you have 700 cars in it,
Right.
especially if you're paying out $1 million.
How many people enter the lottery?
I,
A lot. A lot
yeah,
more
man.
than that. A
So,
lot more than 700-800.
so yeah,
Man, I don't know. What's your conclusion after all this stuff, man?
yeah. Um, and it's this is probably not rocket science. It's probably not a conclusion that other people haven't already drawn. But again, I said in the very beginning of this, I'm a drag racing fanatic. I'm a nut. If I fall down and scrape my leg, drag racing may bleed out of it. I don't really know. You know what I mean? And
Yep.
that's how I feel about this sport. So to me, and this is only my personal opinion because that's what it is. It's nothing factual here. If you are doing something to promote and grow the sport of drag racing, I am in your corner. You can be in my corner if you'd like. I'm a hell of a racer. Sorry, that's just who I am. You come get in my corner too. Hey, I'll go triple O on that thing again if you want me to. But I am.
Or maybe 22. What was it?
Oh yeah, 22. I was supposed to go 17. I went 22, but yeah, I am behind any promoter whatsoever. And real quick, before we get to your conclusion, Casey, I don't really have much else to say past that. I get the point of the consumer. Yes, let's have caution with certain things, but unwarranted caution is not something that I am one to throw. If nothing's ever happened to me negatively, and I've paid a pre-entry, chances are I'm going to pay the pre-entry again. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
At any rate, we've got another comment here from Project Leftover Racing. It says, if the re-entry round takes hours and hours, that's a problem to me. So I'm not a fan of the marathon. And hey, I'll tell you what, if I got through first round and I didn't have to enter the pre-entry round on any of my colors or the re-entry, I'm a fan. Whatever, I'm going to the cooler after that anyway. So it's hey, let me make a steak and I'm gonna go sit down somewhere.
Drink a beer and take a nap.
I get what you're saying. If a re-entry round takes 8 hours in a race that is not for $1 million, then yeah, I'm not going to be a fan of that. But if $1 million is the purse, we can run the race we can run the whole month. I don't care. As long as if I get a chance to win it, just tell me whenever it's my turn to come back to the to the lane. Okay, I'll have my car cooled off. I'll have my tires ready. I might be a little bit nervous, but I'll be there ready to let go of the button.
Opening that lean out valve.
Hey, warm it up as fast as possible. But I get it because I've been to one of these big races. I've been there. I've been to the 525 at SFG where, man, it felt like I wasn't doing anything but sitting in the trailer.
Yep.
All right, I can understand where that could get a little bit boring, but personally
that's why you got
speaking,
to double. That's why you got to double.
for me, I'm at the racetrack, so that's probably the only place where a kid can really be a kid. Not to steal Toys R Us's slogan, but at the racetrack,
everybody might not have kids, George. They might not know that.
I'm not a kid anymore, but when I go to the racetrack, sometimes I feel like a kid again. And then I get to running and trying to get something, and then my heart rate gets up a little higher, and my blood pressure. I'm not a kid no more, but you kind of get where I'm going there. He said, yeah, that's a whole different scenario. Just seems like even the in-between money stuff takes forever to have re-entry round. Yeah, that's true. And it may just be the nature of big money bracket racing as a whole. I'm sorry.
or bracket racing,
Or
period. I
or
mean,
that
there's
because
at the regular tracks I go to, they have buybacks. It's just it's a lesser number of cars. It's a law of large numbers. Until one goes down and one comes back, it is what it is. But you got to also admit that if you have this kind of investment into your race, I mean, you can't take away the buyback ground from those guys. Some of these guys have traveled, from, I mean, hell, some of those guys come from Mexico.
it's
They
true.
come from Mexico to go to Biondo's race and Seipel's race in Vegas. I mean,
It's
Team
true.
Mexico comes. So you can't really realistically tell these guys that they can't, you know, spend another $500, get another shot. I've won plenty of races from buybacks,
And I'm
and
going
I
to be
think
honest with you.
anybody who races long enough will as well.
And I'll be honest with you. At least when we're going to a marathon, at least we know it's going to be a marathon
Yeah,
ahead
you
of time.
signed up for it.
All right. So it's like if we went to the race and then all of a sudden the race is going and 8 hours later we still haven't ran, dang it, second round. All right. Now we got an issue. Okay. I don't. That means, and generally the only time that's really going to happen at a local track is when somebody has oiled the thing all the way down the track. Don't you just love that? You go to the track, you get one oil down, and now you're sitting for 5 hours. Well, that's different. Uh, if I'm going to a track and I know that there's the potential for a marathon, at least I
Mm-hmm.
expect it. So um, you can say no marathon all you want to, and you can definitely do that in a capped race. I don't think it's as hard to get through 300 racers if you count the doubles. There may be a few more of a buyback than there is, say, 700 entries in a race.
Right.
So it does
And
get a little
to
different.
be fair, not to sound like we're attacking Project Leftovers Racing here.
Fact.
We are 100% on your team as far as that goes. It's just not
Fact.
feasible.
Fact.
Not with that kind of money on the table.
I think it's just the direction that racing is in right now. The bracket racing is just in that level. And let's not forget, buybacks is more money to the promoter.
Yep.
It's another chance for me to race, but it is more money to the promoter. I don't knock that.
Mm-hmm.
Make whatever you can make at this race. It's your business. Thank you for putting it on, and that's how I feel about it.
You got the people there.
You got them
the
there.
people there.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, Joe Casey, what you got? My conclusion. If it's about drag racing, I'm all for it. What about you? What's your conclusion now?
I'm kind of on the same page, man. I mean, it's like the way I feel about it is if free entry helps or convinces promoters that putting out a race is a good idea, then I'm 100% all for it. I think it's really easy to forget for all of us racers that without promoters and without racetracks, also, which a lot of these racetracks they make their payment based on one big event per year and hoping that works out because there's not a lot of money in owning a racetrack anymore now that we got social media and we can watch racing on TV and we don't have to go there and buy hot dogs and beers and sit in the stands and pay entries into the gates and all that. Having a race car isn't worth anything if there's nowhere to go racing. And a lot of people forget about that stuff, man. And we all forget about, I don't know about these guys. I know JR and Jeff remember this, and I know you remember this. 2008, when everything went down the toilet and all the tracks closed down when we were all living in Southern Illinois, what were we doing? We were all crying because there wasn't nowhere to go. Right. Not that we necessarily had any money to go there, but you know what I mean? Right. There was one place to go, and it was not operating great, and it is what it is. But racers shouldn't be giving promoters a hard time. Or will inevitably go back to either A, not racing at all, or B, you're going to go pay a $75 entry fee to race for $800.
Yep. So yeah, man. No, I definitely had a good time with this subject, and certainly appreciate everybody who came in and gave us comments and kind of dialogued with us a little bit there, and shot the breeze with us, for lack of better terms. Real quick, I'm gonna go back to where I started in the beginning and send a real quick shout out to those graphics over by TMK. If you hadn't got a chance or you're gonna need something for your race car this year, I strongly recommend Graphics by TMK. The link is in the description below. You can get to his webpage. If you want to find him on Facebook, that @graphics By TMK is right there. You can find him there. Personal experience taught me that the turnaround time that he used to get what we needed was optimal. And if you're looking for more of a great turnaround time, to be able to work with somebody who has the racers at heart. He works on race cars with his decals and his logos. That's what he does. Certainly consider Graphics by TMK without question. So yeah, man. I don't know if you got any closing remarks, but yeah, getting into the wee hours of the day there for the Going Bracket Racing stream.
Yeah, man. No, it's same old, same old. Don't forget to like and subscribe to Going Bracket Racing YouTube channel. And now we got the new Facebook page, been growing like crazy. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Whatever you do on Facebook, I'm not 100% certain. George handles a lot of that stuff. I handle a lot of YouTube stuff. So do whatever you do on Facebook. Make sure you like and follow that for any updates we might have. And drop a comment down below if you weren't here with us. Let us know what your thoughts are on pre-entry. Maybe we'll pick the subject up later. Don't forget, we always do all these live streams every Friday at 4:30 Eastern Time, 3:30 Central Time, and whatever that goes across the state. I can't remember. That's a whole lot of extra stuff, but we appreciate you guys being here with us, and we hope you come back next week. So we appreciate it, guys. So thanks for everything.
Till next time, guys.